Welcome, Fit Over 40 podcast, episode number 4. Wow, feels like it just started already on episode number 4. Today we are going to be talking about fasting. But before we get to that, I want to introduce myself. If you don't know, my name is Chris Mangano. I'm obviously the host and the founder of Fit Over 40. And I help men in their 40s burn fat, build muscle, boost their testosterone, feel and look their best, feel younger, all that good stuff. So glad to have you. If you're watching the Facebook group, Patrick Ahmed, I see you're there. Thanks for watching. If you're watching the Facebook group, welcome. If you're not watching this in the Facebook group right now, if you're listening to this either on the podcast or if you're watching it later on YouTube, you need to get in the group. A lot of guys just like yourself, supporting each other, pushing each other, helping each other. So just go on to Facebook and just search for Testosterone, Nutrition, and Fitness Solutions for Men Over 40, and you'll find us. And we'll welcome you with open arms. And like I said, we have an awesome group of guys. It's really exploding right now. I'm honored for each and every one of you. And special shout out to some of our members, Dan Henn, who's already lost 8 pounds in just 3 weeks. And Joseph Leadham, who just joined the program. He's looking to lose 15 to 20 pounds of fat before he goes on a 100-mile hike in September. That's crazy, 100 miles, but good for you, Joseph. So looking forward to seeing both of you continue your progress and see where you guys end up. So again, fitness or testosterone, nutrition, and fitness solutions for men over 40. If you're not in there, get in there and start participating. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into today's episode, because today we're talking about intermittent fasting, which is all the rage right now. So I want to dive into that. I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting, but I know there's good ways and bad ways to do it. I do want to say real quick, what I'm going to talk about today is purely in regards to somebody using intermittent fasting to burn fat and lose weight. I know there's people that fast for other reasons, whether it's like spiritual or health reasons. What's up, Curtis? Welcome. Spiritual or health reasons. That's not the angle I'm coming from today. I'm coming purely from an angle of fat loss and weight loss. So keep that in mind when I talk about what I'm going to talk about. So let's get right into it. Because I've had guys tell me in the past, I tried intermittent fasting, it didn't really work for me, or I didn't really lose any weight, whatever it might be. And I think this is a good place to start, is with your expectation of intermittent fasting, or a proper expectation of intermittent fasting. Because if you have the right expectation when you start, then you'll continue and you won't get let down and think it didn't work. So intermittent fasting is not a miracle. It's not a magic weight loss or fat loss pill. It's not gonna, you can't just start fasting and then eat an entire supreme large pizza for dinner and wash it down with a pint and Ben & Jerry's and expect to get results. It's a tool in the toolbox. It's a very powerful tool. It's one of the most powerful tools in my opinion, but it's a tool in the toolbox. You can certainly get progress without intermittent fasting, and you can have no progress with intermittent fasting if you're not using the tool correctly. So go in with the expectation of, if you're thinking about starting it, or if it's something you want to do, go in with the expectation of intermittent fasting is a tool, just like exercise is a tool, just like calorie counting is a tool, macro counting, whatever you want to do. They're all tools. It's a tool in your toolbox, and you have to use the tool properly if you're going to maximize the results. So that would be number one. Now let's dive into the actual, into the fasting, into the meat of it, and let's start with the fast, because this is obviously what it's all about, right? If you can get through the fast, then intermittent fasting really isn't that bad. But the fast is the toughest part of intermittent fasting, right? So let's first start with the time. What's up, Joseph? Thanks for the comment. Let's first start, when we talk about the fast, let's talk about the timing of the fast, because that's really the whole crux of everything. Now, I believe, and from my experience and from what I've seen, I think you need to fast for at least 14 hours if you're gonna truly get the benefits, because you need to get into the fasted state at least for a couple hours, right? So I see a lot of guys, their typical day might be, they wake up and within an hour they're eating, and they eat all throughout the day, and then they need that bedtime snack right before they go to bed so they don't go to bed hungry, and they rinse, repeat, right? And so they're never really in that fasted state. And then they think, well, I'm going to fast by waiting 2 hours in the morning to eat my first meal, or I'm not going to eat an hour before bed. And you've just gone from like an 8-hour fast to a 9 or 10-hour fast, and they never really get into this fasted state. But because it's longer than they are used to, they think they're fasting, and then they don't get results, and they wonder what happened. So I think you at least need to get to 14 hours. Now, with that said, and I think 16 is the sweet spot, by the way, if you're curious. And I think, you can even push it to 18 or farther, or even do longer fasts periodically, I think are beneficial. But bare minimum, you want to be getting to 14 hours every single day. Now, with that said, if you're one of those guys who eats from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, or has a very long eating window, you don't want to just jump into a 14, 15, 16-hour fast, because it's going to be extremely challenging. You're going to be starving, you're going to be struggling, and you're going to wonder, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Instead, you want to gradually increase the fast, and this is what I do with the guys that I help. We look at what they're currently doing, what is their current eating schedule like, and then we slowly increase them until we hit that 14, 15, 16-hour mark consistently. So you need to look at like your current eating schedule. You need to be honest, do an honest self-assessment of your current eating schedule and figure out, okay, how long can I realistically start, and then gradually increase that until you get to the 14, 15, 16 hour. Now, of course, there are some guys who can just jump right into the 16-hour fast, go 0 to 100 and stick with it and have the discipline. But for most guys and for most people, it's going to be better if you gradually build up the fast. Another really important part, this is important regardless of intermittent fasting, but really important if you're going to do intermittent fasting, and that's your water intake, especially during the fast, because water has tons of benefits. But one of the biggest benefits when we talk about fasting for water is hunger control, right? So if you drink lots of water, it's going to help curb your appetite. It's going to help control your hunger. And if you're trying to go 16 hours without food, you need every benefit you can get, right? So you need to really be hitting the water hard, especially in the morning fast. If you're doing, let's say, the traditional like fast where you don't eat till noon, which is like the original way, I guess, you're going to have a long period in the morning where you're not eating. And you're going to really need to lean on a lot of water to not only stay hydrated, but to control those hunger pangs and to control those hunger signals from your brain. Another really good strategy, especially in the morning, is caffeine. So black coffee, 0-calorie energy drinks, things like that. Because caffeine is also a really good appetite suppressant. And when you combine the caffeine with lots of water, it really magnifies the appetite suppressant angle of things and will really help you get through the fast and make the fast a lot easier for you. So if you're one of those guys, and there's lots of you out there who don't drink enough water, start chugging more water, especially in those morning hours when you wake up and you're waiting to break the fast later on in the day. So if you follow those three things, right, gradually increase the fast to allow, as you get comfortable, increase the fast more and more rather than just jumping right in, making sure you're drinking tons of water and adding in a little caffeine in the morning, you'll see that the fast becomes much, much easier to get through. Now let's talk about the eating window, because even though the fast is obviously super important, and that's really, without the fast, there's no intermittent fasting. A lot of guys, even guys who are hitting 16 hours every single day, day after day, I see them screwing up the eating window, and they're wondering why nothing's happening, because there's this misconception out there that if you fast for 16 hours, then you can eat whatever you want for the next 8 hours. And that's just simply not true. Now, if you're a guy who's got a faster metabolism, or if you're already fairly lean, or maybe you have a very active lifestyle, like your job, your movement is very physical, it's very demanding, you're on your feet, you're moving around a lot, yeah, maybe you can get away with that. Maybe you can get away with fasting for 16 hours and then eating whatever the heck you want for the next 8 hours and getting results. But for the majority of guys, it's not going to work that way. You still have to be aware of what you're eating. That doesn't mean you have to count calories. You can, but it doesn't mean you have to. So I'm going to give you a couple strategies that are pretty easy to follow that'll really set you up for success during that eating window. So I've set you up for the fast. Now I'll set you up for the eating window. So I'm going to start with the very first meal. And I think this is so important. And so many guys get this wrong. And this is something I work with all my guys that are doing intermittent fasting, and we work on this. Because here's the thing, you got to think about this. Let's say you fasted for 16 hours. you hit that fasted state in that 12 to 13 hour window. Somewhere in that range is when you hit that fasted state. Your body doesn't have like all the nutrients you gave your body the day before. Your body's used them. That doesn't mean your body doesn't have any nutrients in it, but it just means like you have not given your body the nutrients it needs in 3, 4, 5 hours, however long it's been. So your body's ready for those nutrients. So if you start that first meal with like a crappy meal, and when I say crappy, I mean like a low nutrient meal, like you're like, oh, the fast is over. Give me those donuts. I've been waiting all day to eat those donuts, and the fast ends. You eat those donuts, and you don't give your body the nutrients it needs. Your body's gonna send hunger signals right back to you, saying, not necessarily because you're hungry, because you just pounded a bunch of donuts. You're not hungry, but your body's like, hey, I still need those nutrients. Give me those nutrients, and the only way the body can tell you it needs those nutrients is to send you hunger signals. So now you're gonna be eating all day, right? You start with that crappy first meal. Your body still needs those nutrients. It's still craving those nutrients, and it's going to be sending you those hunger signals all day long. And you're gonna set yourself up for failure. So you need to really focus on that first meal. I know it's hard because you've been fasting for 16 hours. You're dying. You can't wait to eat, but you need to really make sure that first meal is dialed in and that you're giving your body the nutrients it needs. Now, once you eat that first meal, I tell my guys this, once you eat that first meal, now you can relax a little bit. Now you can eat things you enjoy. Treat yourself to something or whatever you've been craving, or go ahead and have some pizza, or go ahead and have a burger and fries, whatever. But really make sure that first meal is a high quality meal, gives your body the nutrients it needs so that you're set up so you don't get those hunger signals when you're not really hungry, so your body is set up for success, and it makes the rest of the eating window much easier. And then, of course, I want to also caution, you still can't overeat during the eating window, okay? Just because you fasted for 16 hours doesn't mean now you can just binge eat for the next 8 hours. It doesn't work that way. It still comes down to energy balance, right? It still comes down to energy balance. It still comes down to how much energy you're expending versus how much energy you're taking in. And if you're fasting for 16 hours and then taking in 10,000 calories, you're not going to get results. I mean, I know that's extreme, but I'm just making a point. You're not going to get results. You still have to be somewhat aware of the quantity that you're eating. Anytime we're trying to burn fat or lose weight, we must be somewhat aware of the quantity. Now, with fasting, I do believe with fasting that if you follow these guidelines and you follow these rules and you're aware, you don't have to count calories. You can get great results without counting calories. The guys I train don't count calories. The guys I work with don't count calories. And tons of guys in the group who do intermittent fasting don't count calories. Now, again, you can, but you don't have to. But you have to make sure you are aware of the amount you're eating. If you're not, you're going to eat too much, and then you're going to be one of those guys who does intermittent fasting for a month or two and says, it didn't work for me. But it's not because it didn't work for you. It's because you weren't doing it right. So let's recap the strategies, because I feel like I threw a lot at you really fast. I felt like that went really fast. How long was that? I don't know. But I felt like I threw a lot at you really quick, so I'm going to recap for you. So during the fasting, how do you make the fast period easier? Well, there's 3 strategies I recommend. Number 1, remember, the goal is to get to at least 14 hours. Better is 16 or 17 or 18 or more. But number 1, gradually increase the fast. Don't just jump into a long fast. If you're only used to fasting while you sleep, gradually increase the fast until you get to 14, 15, 16 hours. Number 2, you got to be drinking lots of water during this time. And number 3, add in a little caffeine in the morning, but make sure it's black coffee or 0-calorie energy drinks. Don't go get some sugary coffee drink from Starbucks, because that's going to break the fast. So that's how you get through the fast nice and easy. And then during the eating window, there's still work to be done. Really focus on that. Really focus on when you break that fast. It's super important that you have that high quality meal. You give your body the nutrients it needs. That way your body's not craving things throughout the day. It's not sending you hunger signals when you're not hungry. Obviously, still keep drinking water. And then number 2, watch how much you're eating. You don't necessarily have to count calories. You don't have to go low carb. You don't have to do any of that. You can if you want. But still be aware of the quantity of the food that you're eating, so that you're not overeating. Because intermittent fasting, like I said, it's a tool. It's a great tool. It's one of the best tools in my opinion, but it's still only a tool. It's not a miracle. It's not magic. You still got to do the right things. So I really hope that helped. If you've been thinking about intermittent fasting, or if you've tried it in the past and it didn't work for you and you'd like me to take a look at what you did before or how you can make intermittent fasting work for your lifestyle, just comment below and say, I don't know, we'll say fasting. Just comment below with the word fasting. We'll do that. And again, if you are on, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're just listening to the audio, get in the Facebook group. It's Testosterone, Nutrition, and Fitness Solution for Men Over 40. So you go to Facebook and search for that. You will find it. I'd love to get your feedbacks in the comments. It really helps out. What do you like about it? What do you think could be better? What other topics would you like me to talk about? I'm open to almost anything as long as it's fitness related and I know I know about it, of course. Yeah, definitely get in the group, participate, like I said. And then lastly, if you have any friends, any guys in their 40s who are struggling, who need the help, get them in the Facebook group as well. Show them this. Say, hey, get in here. Let's support each other. Let's help each other out. Let's do this, because really, when you have people like this all working together, all helping each other out, it just makes all of us more successful. Everybody gets the results they're looking for. So let's do it. Get in there. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all of you who listened on in Facebook just now. I think this is like the biggest group I've ever had on Facebook Live, so I was kind of nervous, kind of cool. Yeah, I appreciate you all who listened live in the Facebook group. I appreciate you all listening on the podcast. I appreciate everybody who's watching this on YouTube or wherever you're watching this. I appreciate you. And yeah, let's do this. Let's get it. And I hope this helped you. And I'll see you guys next week, Thursday, 12 Pacific, in the group, live. I don't know what we're talking about yet, but I'm sure it'll be good. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.